Hey, welcome back. So happy you're joining me again. If this is your first time though, my name is Dr. Branin. I'm a naturopathic doctor in New York City. And don't forget, if you like this video, don't forget to like it. And of course, I definitely encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube channel because we're always adding new and exciting content in the world of natural health and specifically women's hormones. Now, we've been kind of taking a step aside from a lot of our talk on fertility and pregnancy and hormones and discussing another topic that I'm really excited about, and it's all about travel. And I love traveling. I've traveled all around the world, and one of the things that is really important to me when I'm traveling is making sure that I enjoy myself. And one of the best ways to enjoy myself is making sure that I stay healthy even while I'm traveling. You know, something that I don't like about traveling, specifically if I'm traveling internationally, is jet lag. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking all about jet lag and natural strategies for adjusting to a new time zone. I became very passionate about jet lag. Wow, I think it was like back in 2012. I hadn't traveled in a while because I was in grad school for 5 years, and I went on my first trip back to France. And when I came home, I think it was like for a whole week, I don't know what was going on in my body. I was thinking, you know, do I have hypothyroidism? Am I depressed? And a friend of mine who's a big jet setter and she travels all the world, specifically to China for work, told me that I most likely had jet lag. And I believed that she was correct. And so I really made it a point to do a lot of research around jet lag so that I could continue doing travels and not let it interfere with my enjoyment of my vacation, nor having to adjust to getting back into the speed of work when I would come home. So let's first start off with what exactly is jet lag. So jet lag is basically when there's a mismatch between one's own personal normal daily rhythms and a new time zone. And this can definitely happen at any time change, whether it's 4 or 5 hours ahead, 4 or 5 hours behind. One can really feel the effects of jet lag, not just from fatigue, but also GI symptoms, headache, and just really not feeling one's best. So let's talk a little bit about the body clock, and let's understand more about what exactly is the body clock. So when we think of the body clock, what we're also thinking about is the circadian rhythm. And if you want to learn even, I'm going to talk about it, but if you want to even go even deeper into understanding the circadian rhythm, specifically if you want to utilize it in order to get a better night's sleep, I highly recommend that you watch part 3 of my Better Sleep Now series on YouTube, and we talk all about the circadian rhythm, but I will talk a little bit more about that, specifically how it pertains to jet lag. So the main body that is governing our circadian rhythm, our body clock, is the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is found in the hypothalamus. And again, when we think of circadian rhythm, we always think about sleep, but this nucleus also regulates blood pressure, hormone secretion. Yeah, all our hormones have their own rhythm, their own body clock, and then the way our body utilizes oxygen, and of course, sleep. And when we're thinking about the primary driver with sleep as it pertains to the circadian rhythm, we're thinking about melatonin, and melatonin is secreted from the pineal gland in response to darkness, and it's counteracted by the presence of blue light. And we might know of blue light as the light that emanates from all of our devices, and that's why many of our gadgets now have either like a night shift mode, or people are now wearing blue light glasses, and a lot has to do with because blue light actually counteracts the secretion of melatonin. And again, if you watch my part 3 of the Sleep Now series, you'll get more of a understanding of that. Now, besides light, so one of the big things also when we think about the circadian rhythm is other time cues, also called Zeitgebers. And of course, light being one of the primary Zeitgebers or time cues. But another big one, and this is something that we're going to talk about when I get to some of the tips, is the timing of meals, and also meal composition actually has a big impact on how our body is going to be responding to the sleep-wake cycle. So now, what are some of the naturopathic tips? And these are tips that I actually use myself. So these are not just things that are, I guess they are technically experimental, but I use them myself. So these are my naturopathic tips for minimizing jet lag. So I first want to talk about melatonin. And if you watched in the previous video, I did say that I always bring melatonin with me when I travel, but I didn't really go into all the details on how I utilize it. So melatonin, as I mentioned before, is a hormone that's secreted in the pineal gland. And also, if you've watched any of my other videos, I don't necessarily always recommend it as a first-line sleep aid in general. I use it for very specific purposes, and this is one of these purposes. So in order to utilize melatonin to prevent jet lag, you actually want to start a few days before you even leave. So starting about like 3 to 4 days, depending also how many hours that you're going to be changing, you want to start with a very small dose of melatonin. I know like in the stores, people are taking like 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams, which I actually rarely ever would even prescribe that in my practice. If you want to ask me more about that, you can always put a comment in the chat and I'm happy to answer why. So starting with a small dosage, about 0.25 or 0.5, which unfortunately might be a little bit difficult. You might have to actually cut the tablets in half to get that kind of dosage. And what you want to sort of think about is what is the number of hour changes. So we're either going to be going ahead or either going to go behind. So I'm going to give 2 examples, real life examples that I have definitely used. So let's start with Paris. So I'm in New York. So Paris is 6 hours ahead. Okay. And I'll have to say with both of these types of recommendations, there is a little bit of math and planning. So sorry if that's not your thing, but this is how this works. Okay, so Paris is 6 hours ahead. I typically go to bed around 11 p.m. So starting a few days before the first night, and so we're kind of like working backwards. So the first night I take the low dose melatonin at 10 p.m. Then the next night I do 6 p.m. And then the following night 10 p.m., then 8 p.m., and then 6 p.m. So that's Paris. And so we haven't even talked about what I do on the day that I fly out. So this is actually leading up to that day. Now let's take another example, traveling behind, going to Maui, which is 5 hours behind New York. And so kind of doing similar but reverse. So that first night I did it was 12 a.m., then 1 a.m., and then 3 a.m. And you might have to actually set an alarm in order to do that. And this is also something you would utilize on the way back. Okay, so that's leading up. Now, on the day of the flight, you want to take the full dosage, and that could be anywhere from 1 to 3 milligrams at the time in which you will be going to bed at your final destination. So for the Paris example, yes, I would want to go to bed at around like 11 p.m. Paris time, but that actually equates to 5 p.m. New York time. So I actually would take the full dose at 5 p.m. And then conversely, Maui, I would take the full dose at 4 a.m. Now, when I do melatonin for this purpose, I like to combine both immediate and sustained release. So I'll usually do 1 milligrams of immediate release, and then 3 milligrams, which because I actually don't even think you can actually get 2 milligrams of extended release, but I usually will do 3 milligrams of extended release, so that I'm basically getting a nice steady stream of melatonin to help with the sleep maintenance part. For the next few nights, about 2 to 3 nights, I will take the full dose again of the 1 milligram and then the 3 milligram at the normal bedtime at my destination. And then similarly on the way back, I basically reverse that protocol, and then we'll also, as soon as I come back to New York, I'll do a few nights of the higher dose of the melatonin, and I find like that's a really good way to keep my sleep on track. Now, that's the melatonin part. That's not actually every single thing I do. So the other aspect of this, I do what's based on the Argonne Protocol, which was developed for pilots that had a lot of time change, and it was a way in order to reset that body clock quite quickly. And as I mentioned, yes, light is a very big driver of our sleep-wake cycle, but so is food. And so this protocol combines not just light, and I'll talk about the light aspect of it, but also the timing of food, the timing of, I put sleep in air quotes, and also caffeine if that's something that you utilize. So how do we do this? So the first thing we determine is our approximate breakfast time at our destination. So again, bringing back the Paris example. So most likely I probably would have breakfast around 8 a.m. So that means, so that equates to around 2 a.m. East Coast time. And then the other thing, then I kind of work back from that. Okay, so if I'm gonna be having quote unquote breakfast at 2 a.m. East Coast time, then most likely I'm gonna be having dinner then around 2 or 4 p.m. East Coast time based on Paris time. A lot of math. So what does this mean? Is that on the day of the flight, I will have my dinner around 2 or 4 p.m. and making sure that that dinner has good quality protein and good quality carbohydrate, because that's going to be my last meal until it's time to quote unquote wake up. So as soon as I get on that flight, I'm not eating anything past 4 p.m. unless like I'm really starving, obviously, but really trying not to have anything else. As soon as I get on the plane, lights out. I should probably show you if you want. I have a really funny picture of one from Italy. So lights out. I have like my face mask, everything like that. I don't really care about what the movie's at. I'm not gonna I might even put tell the flight attendants don't even bother me. And then the other piece, and so basically lights are quote unquote out on the plane for myself, and then I'll set an alarm on my phone to wake me up around the breakfast time of my destination. Often though that already kind of happens, because very often that's when you would land. It's important that at that alarm to have a breakfast that is high in protein, not always provided by the flight. And so I always plan ahead with making sure that I have something sustainable with high protein. I am a caffeine drinker. I'm a coffee drinker. So I make sure that specifically if I don't know that they're gonna have coffee readily available when I need it, to bring something with me so that I have the caffeine. So caffeine, protein, and then the other big component of this, because the idea you're arriving, it's the morning, really to get as much sunshine as you can immediately. Something else you could do would be utilizing any kind of full spectrum light bulbs if that was not available. And then lastly, a really big important piece of success is really avoiding napping that day. So really like powering through it, and by doing that, you're naturally going to be resetting your clock. Now, of course, again, if it's a very short trip, maybe this isn't that important to you. I mean, back to the Hawaii example, my husband didn't want to follow the same protocol as I did, and he preferred just to stay on East Coast time and work, and that worked well for him. So you obviously don't need to follow any of these instructions, but this is, again, what I do to prevent jet lag. So now you might be wondering, okay, so great, that's jet lag. What are ways that I can optimize my sleep while I'm traveling? So definitely, if you're somebody who is light sensitive, and if there's a lot of travel blackout shades that you can bring, obviously bringing a mask, but some of us, myself included, definitely need more than just wearing a mask. So travel blackout shades, or you can even get your black trash bags, although depending on the type of hotel or resort, they might already have blackout shades, and that's great. I also recommend white noise phone apps, so you don't necessarily even have to bring a white noise machine. There's so many great white noise apps on phones and tablets. You can even have your phone or tablet on airplane mode, so if you're concerned about that, that's not going to be an issue, and that's a great way to drown out any potential noise. Similarly, earplugs are really great. And then if you, pretty much almost like any video, I'm always talking about magnesium. I love magnesium. My favorite magnesium is definitely by Vital Nutrients. They're triple magnesium because it has malate and glycinate, so that's going to help with sleep. But also, when at least I tend to walk a lot when I'm traveling, and so it also helps with like the muscles and relaxation. And then lastly, and I think that these are very much similar sleep recommendations I just give across the board, being very mindful of sleep disruptors. So yes, I was talking about caffeine before, but also, be mindful of when you have the caffeine, and making sure that you're not having it too close to bedtime, and also being aware of hidden sources of caffeine. I learned that the hard way when I first went to Japan, when I was studying there and was eating everything that had green tea, and I didn't put two and together that green tea has caffeine. Again, this is way before I became a naturopath. So caffeine, also alcohol. Many of us, when we travel, we love to drink, and so having alcohol too close to bed, about like less than 3 hours before, can really disrupt sleep. Also having a lot of refined carbohydrate and sugar, and so a lot of these things that just normally in general would be disruptive sleep could impact your sleep even when you're on vacation. So it's just something to be mindful of. So those are my tips around jet lag, and hopefully you found them helpful. Also, if you want more of like a written version of the recommendations, I recommend that you actually go to my website. I have a great blog. It's called Leave It on a Jet Plane, and it's all about jet lag, and I have more if you need to see it more written out. I think that's actually a good place to go. And as always, definitely, if you like the video, don't forget to like it, and of course, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I'm just really excited. I'm going to be putting out a lot of new content specifically for travel and health, which is, again, it's like a topic I'm very passionate about. So again, my name is Dr. Branin, and looking forward to seeing you